I'll give a quick intro. Kubernetes is basically the fastest growing technology on the infrastructure stack. It's growing at 24% annual growth rate. Currently, 60% of enterprises have already adopted it, and that number is projected to reach 90% by 2030. It's already powering some of the biggest startups and tech companies that you use every day. And this is a space that we know well. Throughout my career, I've built and sold 3 businesses, and I've never met someone as passionate about tech or software infrastructure as my co-founder, Caleb. He's had a 2-decade career in DevOps. He built some of the original tooling when Netflix migrated to AWS. He's a contributor to Terraform, and he's ran a DevOps agency out of San Francisco for 10 years. 2 years ago, he realized 2 things. Kubernetes maintenance had become 90% of their workload. And Kubernetes cluster upgrades were a huge pain point for them with no great tools. So these upgrades that I mentioned, they're really critical and necessary. Hyperscalers mandate them every 6 to 12 months. And if you're a compliant company, your SLA will require you to stay up to date. Also, these are huge costs for companies. In North America, an average Kubernetes engineer costs over $200,000 annually, and they can spend up to 30 to 40% of their time on cluster maintenance. Globally, the cost of this maintenance is upwards of $12 billion annually. So that's why we chose upgrades as our wedge. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about why upgrades is such a nightmare. Most teams still rely on spreadsheets or team-specific processes, often patching together brittle scripts across YAML, Helm, and Terraform to get things done. So every upgrade becomes a little bit of a gamble. Is it going to crash production? Is it going to break dependencies? Or worst of all, is it going to cause any downtime? And that's the status quo that we set out to fix. So Kubegrade improves the entire upgrade process end-to-end. It scans your clusters, maps dependencies, checks compatibilities, and pushes safe upgrades via GitOps. So there's no human error, no downtime, and especially no spreadsheets. Our product makes the upgrade cycle up to 6 times faster and can reduce up to 70% of manual DevOps work. Kubegrade is completely cloud agnostic, so we work across AWS, Azure, GCP, Alibaba, and even on-prem. So wherever your clusters live, we can manage them. But upgrades are just the beginning for us, because infrastructure is not just about staying up to date, it's about staying efficient, staying compliant, and staying secure. And we realize there are deeper problems that teams face. Infrastructure is often over-provisioned or misconfigured, cloud bills are spiraling out of control, compliance gaps often show up at audits, which is too late, so we're building something much more powerful. We're launching an intelligent visualization layer that lets your team see what's running and why. And we're also creating AI workflows to address things like cost attribution and optimization, right-sizing and auto-scaling, security and compliance enforcements, troubleshooting and solving errors. These workflows don't just show you the problem, they fix it. Under the hood, our AI agents read your infrastructure, they plan executable workflows, and they push them via GitOps to keep a human in the loop. And they can also roll back automatically if any problems arise. Under the hood, our MCP gives agents real-time cluster understanding and context. RAG pipelines ingest YAML, Helm, Terraform, basically everything DevOps touches. Our orchestration engine executes changes safely and predictively via your GitOps pipelines. This is agentic automation designed for Kubernetes and infrastructure as code. Execution, not just alerts. Confidence, not chaos. And I'm excited to introduce my co-founder and CTO, Caleb, to give you a quick demo of our product. Unfortunately, he is based out of San Francisco, and he couldn't make it today, but this is his airtime.
Here's a quick walkthrough of the Kubegrade platform. At its core, Kubegrade helps you visualize your clusters and then take action, whether that's upgrades, right-sizing, security, compliance, or troubleshooting. We integrate with your existing GitOps pipelines so you don't have to change the way that you do cluster management. You start by connecting your clusters via our convenient one-line script or our Helm chart. Once they're connected, you'll have access to a visualization dashboard where you can organize your clusters into different environments like development, staging, production. You'll quickly spot issues across clusters, and then you can dive into specifics. We also give you a much deeper level of visibility. This is where you can focus on one specific resource or across a namespace to identify issues in a cluster. When issues do show up, like deprecated APIs, misconfigurations, or compliance issues, you're not on your own. Our AI agents use our own MCP server plus MCP servers from GitHub, Terraform, and others to get the context that they need to take action. In this example, we're looking at a cluster that needs some upgrades. The agent reviews the versions and then proposes an upgrade plan which details exactly what needs to be done. Once reviewed, you can generate and submit pull requests directly to GitHub. From there, you can inspect the commits, review the code changes, and then choose to upgrade using your existing infrastructure's code pipelines. Everything we do is designed to keep a human in the loop. We don't force full automation on you because when you're dealing with critical infrastructure, that's risky. Instead, we automate the heavy lifting and then give your team full control at every step. That's Kubegrade, agentic AI workflows for Kubernetes, purpose-built for upgrades, compliance, cost optimization, security, and troubleshooting. Let's make Kubernetes accessible to everyone and skip the boring, repetitive parts of cluster management.
So how do we bring this to market? We're selling directly to enterprise, and we're partnering with system integrators and resellers. We soft launched this April and already have several large enterprises negotiating pilots with us, which we plan to launch by Q3. We also signed our first client for 24K ARR. What's interesting, though, is that our outreach to demo ratio is really high, proving that there's a real pain and teams are actively looking for a solution. We're currently working to list on AWS, GCP, and Azure marketplaces to accelerate our growth. So if you're feeling the pain of managing clusters, or if you have R&D budget for AI or infrastructure, let's talk. You can scan this or visit our booth over there. We're Kubegrade, the AI agent for Kubernetes lifecycle management. Thank you.
Love it. Very strong product market fit. So this will definitely work. My only question or concern here is, what sets you apart specifically in terms of, AWS, Google, ourselves? We're building similar agentic behavior, respectively sending a lot of folks towards serverless models, so away from Kubernetes potentially. So I just want to hear your take on it. But for someone who's using Kubernetes, I know the pain, so this makes a lot of sense.
Well, yeah, so for now, we'll have to focus on people still using Kubernetes because, there's still a large chunk of market share over there. And if you're comparing us to sort of managed services within AWS or GCP, we kind of help companies that outgrow those managed services because, for example, they're using controllers or add-ons that are not covered by those managed services. And that happens a lot with compliant companies that have service meshes or might be running on multi-cloud or even have an on-prem environment. And those people are not covered by hyperscalers, unfortunately.
So you talked about other technologies that are not Kubernetes, right? Do you think that in 5-10 years, what percentage of enterprises will still be on this technology?
Wow, I'm asking to make predictions on stage. We're still seeing large growth in the Kubernetes space. So like I said, the CAGR right now is projected to stay around 24% until 2030. So the idea and the projections are that 90% of enterprises will be using Kubernetes in some capacity. Doesn't mean all of their workloads will be on Kubernetes, but as long as they have some workloads on it, we can support those workloads.
Just want to understand what is triggering the urgency in your customers? Is it the downtime or is it compliance pressures or?
Yeah, those are all great questions. And the initial product that we built, which was upgrades, was usually the urgency there was compliance and downtime. Those were two big ones. So those were mandated, like I said, by the hyperscalers, but also their compliance SLAs, meaning if you sort of run like at a V-3 on your Kubernetes, at some point AWS is going to either drop you or charge you 5 times more to support you. So basically you're kind of forced to upgrade. And if you're a compliant company, your SLA will mandate you to be at V-1 at the very least, because all the security patches are required to be up to date.